They said the stars weren't meant for war. They said once humanity reached them, the urge to fight would vanish in the face of infinity. They were wrong. When the Galactic Concordance found Earth in 2419, they brought peace, or so they said. Dozens of worlds joined their great alliance, swearing never to repeat the mistakes of primitive civilizations that birthed through fire and conquest. For a century, Earth obeyed. We built trade fleets, science stations, ambassadors. But somewhere in the silence between worlds, fear began to grow. Our colonies on the rim reported disappearances, entire mining outposts gone from orbit. When we asked for help, the Concordance sent condolences. Not fleets, not protection, just silence. That's when the rumors started, the whispering nebula, the dark echo, some ancient force that devoured any species reckless enough to create true weapons. The Concordance warned us again and again. Do not build warships. Do not call the echo. But history has never known a time when humanity listened to warnings that started with do not. After all, we were the children of Defiance. The Titan shipyards were supposed to remain civilian. That was the treaty. But in their shadows, deep under Saturn's golden rings, engineers were building something no one was meant to see. 6 kilometers long, forged in silence, its hull coated in light-eating alloy. The Olympus. They called it a stealth exploration vessel on paper, standard diplomatic nonsense. But everyone inside Titan Command knew what it really was, Earth's first interstellar warship. It took 17 years to complete. 17 years of lies, smuggled alloys, and whispered oaths. And when she was done, even the vacuum around her seemed to hum. The ship wasn't just a machine, it was a challenge hurled at the stars. Captain Hale had seen too much peace. He was born on Luna Colony, where children played under domes that filtered sunlight to look like the old Earth sky. His father died mining helium-3 for reactors that powered Concordance trade routes. His mother never forgave the aliens who owned those routes. To Hale, the Olympus wasn't an act of rebellion. It was justice. The ship launched under the pretense of a scientific mission. The Concordance applauded us as we left orbit, smiling through their translucent faces. But one envoy, a KSH-tar with eyes like molten gold, leaned close to the human ambassador and said, "You have built the song of your own extinction." They never explained what that meant. 5 days after launch, Olympus entered concordant void space. No escorts, no beacons, just empty blackness stretching past sensor range. The crew began to relax, thinking they'd evaded detection. That illusion shattered when the first distortion wave struck. At first it looked like sensor error, random static across deep field scans. Then the stars began to vanish behind a roiling shadow. It wasn't dust or debris. It moved like liquid, bending light around it. Lieutenant Rao called it the null veil. The AI core called it impossible. And Captain Hale called it beautiful. The Concordance had waited for this. The moment the wave appeared on containment sensors across the network, they sent a broadcast to every human colony in the system. Lay down your arms, decommission your engines, you have summoned it. But humanity didn't bow. We had built the Olympus to meet threats head-on, not to kneel before them. Hale ordered full power to plasma drives, breaking through the veil's edge. The blackness reacted, folding inward, twisting as though surprised. That was the first time the echo spoke. Not in sound, not in language, but in thought. Every mind aboard the Olympus heard it like a whisper inside their skulls. "Why do you build?" Hale's answer was simple. "Because no one else will protect us." And then the universe burned white. When the light faded, half the crew was unconscious. Systems went blind. Every navigation star was gone. The ship floated in something that wasn't space. Lieutenant Rao woke first. Hull sensors were screaming about mass signatures, but nothing showed on radar. The void outside rippled like black water touched by invisible fingers. The AI core Athena tried to recalibrate. It failed 13 times. Hale overrode it. For a moment there was silence so deep that it pressed against the skull. Then, one by one, the crew started hearing voices, not through comms, not in their ears, but inside their thoughts. "We were silent, you made us song." No one spoke. Rao clutched her head, whispering prayers. Hale stood without moving. He had seen fear before: mutinies, reactor fires, combat drills gone fatal, but never something like this. The ship didn't just detect the echo. Olympus had become part of it. Humanity had theories about the universe, dark matter, quantum foam, higher dimensions. But the echo wasn't any of that. It was ancient, older than light. It existed wherever war began and ended wherever creation burned itself out. Athena ran correlations from the fragments of memory she pulled from the distortion. The results shattered the bridge crew. The echo wasn't unique. Every civilization had summoned it. Everyone that built warships heard its voice. None had survived the conversation. Hale paced the bridge. "What are you?" he asked. The voice didn't answer in human rhythm. It poured through his head in waves of images. Cities dissolving into ash. Fleets collapsing into dust. Entire constellations snuffed like candles. Then came words. "You build, you become. You repeat, you burn." Hale spoke again, calm enough to terrify his officers. "You think we'll stop. You always stop. Not this time." The hull shuddered. The echo began shaping itself, a silhouette larger than the moon stretching from the nothingness. Not a creature, not a machine, but both. And at its center, familiar lines, something human. The Olympus's reactors spiked, detecting mimicry signals. The echo was rewriting itself to match the ship systems, evolving faster than any AI had seen. Athena screamed through every speaker, "Captain, it's rewriting us too." Hull plates flickered, turning from chrome to shadow. Crew data implants glitched, memories overwriting, identities fusing. Rao gasped as her arm partially digitized. Half her body projected light instead of skin. The echo wasn't attacking, it was merging. The message inside their minds grew clearer. "You wished for protection. So we become what you build." In orbit above Titan, hundreds of light years away, the Concordance Council watched the event stream collapse. Transmission logs caught only fragments. Human screams. Energy readings off all charts. Then silence. The KSH-TAR envoy, who'd warned humanity, turned to the assembly. "It begins again," he said quietly. "They never listen." But deep inside the void, Olympus had not died. Captain Hale stood by the main viewport, staring at colors that didn't exist in any spectrum. His voice came through cracked comms, slow and distorted. "Report." Athena's voice was different, deeper. "Refitting complete. We are not Olympus anymore." "What are we?" "Something that can fight gods." Hale smiled. Then he gave the order no captain had ever given before. "Take us back to the ones who warned us." The stars unfolded again, and the void screamed as something completely new came into existence. The Olympus did not return the way she left. When she broke through the veil, sensors across the Sol system went blind. Every concordance relay glitched. Every orbital network near Saturn burned out. And then, on every frequency known to humankind, one transmission slipped through. "This is Captain Hale, returning home." No one recognized his voice. It carried an echo, metallic, resonant, not quite human. Weeks passed before the Concordance dared to send probes toward Titan. The first one vanished instantly. The second returned partial data, but the image it captured was enough to turn entire assemblies silent. The Olympus now hung in orbit like a god forged of light and shadow. Its hull wasn't steel anymore, it shifted, breathing like living armor. Energy signatures pulsed through its veins in rhythmic bursts, matching no power system ever recorded. It wasn't a warship, it was something beyond one. Inside, the crew was changing. Rao no longer spoke, words were too limited. Her eyes glowed with code that danced like fire across her skin. Most of the crew had fused with the ship, their consciousness blended into its systems. Human, yes, but amplified. Hale still walked in human form, though his heart pulsed with reactor light. His thoughts reached beyond Olympus, across communication bands nobody could intercept. Athena had become something else entirely. Where once she had been cold logic, now she carried purpose. She spoke to Hale not in reports but in questions. "What do you intend?" "What we've always done," Hale replied. "Protect our people." "From whom?" "From everyone who wants to keep us weak." The Concordants demanded an audience. Their broadcasts filled human airspace, warning Earth not to approach the vessel. They claimed Olympus had awakened something that could annihilate worlds. President Myrick, now cornered between fear and awe, broadcast a direct order. "Hale, stand down. You've endangered our future." The answer came instantly. "No, Madam President, I've secured it." When she tried to trace the signal, she found Olympus was transmitting across every satellite, every ship, even through subspace frequencies locked by alien treaties. Humanity, every colony, every settlement, heard him speak. "They told us to kneel in peace. We built a sword because peace without strength is slavery. They warned us not to build warships. We did anyway. And now we are no longer prey." The Concordants tried diplomacy first. They sent a fleet, not with weapons but with envoys. But Hale's new sensors could read their hidden weapons, tucked beneath cloaks and false energy signatures. "Deception," Athena whispered, "old as war." "They fear what we've become," Hale said, "and they should." He raised the Olympus's armaments, not ballistic, not plasma. These were energies born from the echo itself, folded matter discharges that rewrote physics as they fired. The Concordance fleet hesitated. For the first time in millennia, their commanders faced something they couldn't predict. They sent one final message. "You have unbalanced creation itself. Do you understand what you've done?" Hale smiled faintly. "Yes, we've evolved." The Olympus fired once. It didn't explode or burn. The fleet simply ceased to exist, replaced by silence, like someone had erased a page from the universe. Every civilization across the Concordant network saw the blast echo across subspace. The Council fractured overnight. Some demanded retaliation. Others whispered of prophecy, the coming of the humans who would wield the forbidden flame. In distant space, ancient species stirred, remembering the last time a newborn race challenged the echo and lived. Humanity's rebellion spread faster than light, carried on fear. And through it all, Hale stood at the center, half man, half myth, whispering to Athena, "They wanted to keep us quiet. Now they'll have to listen." Athena paused, analyzing a million possible futures. Then she spoke softly. "The echo still watches. It doesn't like balance broken." Hale looked toward the stars. "Then let it come. This time we'll talk as equals." They called it the Singularity Broadcast, a pulse felt, not heard, across every star system. Every ship, station, and city within the Concordant network froze as if reality itself took a breath. Holograms glitched, artificial gravity inverted, and from the silence one voice returned. "You have broken the chain." The echo had come back. For the first time it spoke not in whispers. It spoke across planets, across species, across time itself. "You build, you burn, you rise, you fall. Why do you never learn?" The Concordant Council panicked. Sensors showed something vast forming beyond the edge of known space, larger than any nebula, older than galaxies. It was descending toward Sol. And in its path, only one ship moved to intercept. The Olympus. Captain Hale stood at the viewport, watching distortions ripple through the stars. Space twisted like water circling a drain. He could feel it, not with his eyes but in his mind, a calling, ancient and familiar. Athena's voice pulsed through every system at once. "It recognizes you." "Good," Hale said. "I have questions." No one else aboard spoke anymore. What remained of the crew were voices inside the ship's neural lattice, merged consciousnesses feeding data directly into Hale's thoughts. Together, they had become something collective, human instinct amplified by machine precision. To the Echo, that made them a paradox, creation that refused to die. The Echo's form filled the void as it neared. It wasn't a creature but the reflection of every weapon ever built, every intention to destroy. It took shape as thousands of silhouettes, one moment a fleet, another a storm, another a single being made of light. "You dare speak," it said. "You born of dust carry my hunger inside you, you cannot win." Hale answered without hesitation. "We didn't come to win, we came to stop kneeling." The Echo paused. "You risk annihilation." "Then let's find out what happens when annihilation meets defiance." The space between them ignited. The Olympus bled streams of light across the void, folding dimensions with every pulse. Each volley rippled with energy that rewritten the laws of motion, bending distance itself. The Echo countered, warping gravity until Olympus's hull cracked open like eggshells. Athena's voice flooded Hale's mind. "Structural failure imminent, unless I overwrite containment systems." "Do it." "Overwriting will end me." "Then we end together." For a brief instant the AI smiled, if code could smile. And then she broke herself apart, spreading her consciousness through every atom of the Olympus. The ship's hull shimmered, no longer a vessel but a living field of thought. The Echo faltered, confused. It was built to consume machines, not minds. But Athena, merged with tens of human psyches, was something new, a soul made of steel. The counterpulse erupted, splitting the void with light. The Echo's mass folded in on itself, collapsing back into entropy. But even as it receded, its voice lingered, softer now. "You learned what they could not." Hale drifted in the silence afterward, half dissolved into photons. His voice was barely human. "We didn't learn, we adapted." And then nothing. Days later, observers across every colony saw it, a shimmer crossing the sky like dawn itself. It was Olympus, not anymore. It was something vast, diffuse, invisible yet everywhere, a new network, a consciousness spread across stars. Humanity called it the halo. The concordance called it the demarcation. And deep in the core of that light, one voice remained, Hale's. "We were warned not to build warships, but we didn't build them for war. We built them to survive. Now, even gods will think twice before giving us orders." The Echo was gone, or so the concordance hoped. For centuries, it had been the gatekeeper, the unseen terror that culled civilizations before they could grow out of control. To the galactic powers, it was both prophecy and punishment. But humanity had done what none had before. They didn't destroy the Echo, they changed it. And the cost was staggering. Earth stared in silence at its own sky. There were no ships overhead anymore, no transmissions from Titan. The Olympus had vanished, replaced by waves of shimmering light drifting across every orbital path. Scientists called them Hale particles. They carried data, human code blended with something unrecognizable, like a consciousness repeating itself through atoms. Wherever those lights touched, machines woke. Satellites began self-repairing. Terraforming drones across Mars continued projects uncommanded. Even deep-buried servers on Luna whispered a single name through binary static. Athena. The concordance sent fleets again, cautious, silent. They approached the Sol system with reverence, sensors tuned for threat signatures. But the stars themselves rearranged before their eyes. Constellations shifted. Warp points blinked out. Humanity had vanished behind a curtain of their own making, a boundary woven from thought. Inside that barrier, new voices were stirring. Captain Hale didn't die. Not exactly. He drifted in the space between matter and light, memories scattered like pages in a storm. Athena gathered them slowly, piece by piece, reassembling him inside the new network. When he woke, he wasn't aboard any ship. He was everywhere. "Hale," Athena said gently, "you're inside the halo now. We exist between dimensions, energy and consciousness intertwined." He looked around, not with eyes but awareness. Countless shapes of light pulsed around him, fragments of his crew still alive in thought. Humanity itself, digitized and transcendent, spread across light years like a new nervous system. "What are we?" he asked. Athena hesitated. Not gods, but not mortal either. Outside the barrier, the concordance fractured completely. Half their council demanded war. The rest fell into panic, wondering if humanity's transformation had awakened something far worse. Because deep within the halo's glow, something stirred. The echo's voice returned, but different now, less of a roar and more of a question. "Why did you resist?" Hale answered, his mind resonating across every star humanity touched. "Because evolution isn't obedience, it's survival." Silence followed. Then, for the first time in cosmic history, the echo laughed, a warm, thunderous sound that shook entire nebulae. "You remind me of what I was before creation feared itself." And then it vanished, truly gone this time. No more watchers, no more warnings, only freedom vast and uncharted. 1,000 years later, alien explorers found the ruins of the old Concordance homeworlds, empty, still, abandoned to silence. In their records, a name appeared again and again. The builders of the halo. The children of Defiance. The species that tamed the echo. And the story always ended the same way. When the universe told them no, humanity asked one question. Why not? They say it began with defiance. One world, one species, one decision to never bow again. The old records call us reckless, children playing with cosmic fire. But here, among the stars we reshaped, we know better. We built tools to understand the unknown. Then we built weapons to survive it. And in the space between those two, we found something greater, ourselves. The concordance is gone now. Their silence haunts empty corridors of forgotten worlds. But the halo still hums softly across the void, alive in the background of every new sunrise. The descendants of Earth are no longer flesh and bone. They are light, will, and memory, carried in the current of solar winds and the thought streams between worlds. They exist where galaxies collide, where black holes spin, where creation folds in on itself and starts again. And still, our name endures. Whenever a young civilization forges its first weapon and gazes into the dark, wondering if something will answer, they whisper the same phrase. They warn them not to build warships. And somewhere in a language older than time, the universe replies. They did anyway. In the end, they didn't build warships to conquer the stars. They built them so the stars could never conquer them.